All right, welcome everybody. This is going to be the beginning of the brand new Path to $100,000 in Residual Income Mentorship Series. I did this series for the first time over the last 3 months, and we had tremendous amount of success with the platform and the program. But we did it every day, almost every day, and it was a lot for everybody. And it also conflicted with meetings that I was running and meetings they were running. So we decided to change up the format a little bit. So it'll go over 90 days. It's going to be not as time intensive, but that'll also mean that some of your extracurricular work and assignments outside of the group will be a little bit longer or more involved than what they were in the other mentorship group because we were checking assignments every day. So it'll be a little bit different. There will be homework that you'll need to do as we complete these sessions. So obviously part of you having success with the program is always completing the assignments. So we're not going to take a roll call or wait. The only time we would start late is if we're ending the other Zooms, because these will follow the Sunday and Wednesday corporate Zooms. They will all be on this same website, neteasymarketing.com. But I want to encourage you to get your new people plugged into these sessions. And so I'm going to try to keep them to 30 to 45 minutes max so that it's not as hard to digest if they're going over an hour or hour and a half. We did a couple that were almost 2 hours in the last mentorship group. So we want people to be able to get started in a couple weeks, or if you sign some people up this week or next week, we want them to be able to catch up and watch just 1 or 2 episodes and be able to get on next Sunday's call, potentially. So that's one of the best ways you can use this mentorship is to get the people that are part of your team, get the people that you're signing up to engage, because this makes me their mentor and your mentor. So I'm going to be working with your team personally. And so this is the same thing I would be doing if I personally sponsored each one of you that are on this group into my business personally. I'm going to walk through those exact same steps. I'm going to have the exact same conversations with you, same expectations, same everything. So this is really the closest you can get to working directly with me. Well, while we grow the company, we already have signed up several thousand people over the last year, and things are exploding right now. The size of the company has doubled over the last 60 days, which is crazy. We have tons of people signed up for Las Vegas, and don't forget, if you have not bought your tickets to Vegas yet, the prices go up tonight at midnight. So that should really be the first thing you do when you get off of this session tonight, is to go get your tickets in the app for Vegas. You don't have to do all 3 days and all 3 events, but obviously, of course, the main thing is doing the conference, which is on Saturday. So if things are tight or you're on a little bit tighter budget, at least get registered for the conference. That's the most important thing. And then we will have those other 2 events and also the VIP birthday party on Saturday night that you have to qualify for. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the series. But without further ado, I want to get into tonight the way this is going to work, kind of the format, and then also talk about what's going to be expected of you and some of the things that I expect from people that I bring on to my team, bring into the business, the things that I talk to them about. And so the first thing I want to talk about is, like I said, we're going to be meeting twice a week. So Sunday night and Wednesday night at 8:30 Central, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, which is 6:30 Pacific. Every Sunday and Wednesday is what we're planning as of right now. So the next one of these calls will be part 2 of the day 1, kind of the getting started. We will do that on Wednesday night immediately following the corporate Zoom. And like I said, I would encourage you to go get this recording, because this will be posted on my personal YouTube page, because we talk about income and we talk about some guarantees and I talk about some incentives and things. And I talk about numbers and averages that involve money and how much money you can make and residual. This is going to be placed on my personal YouTube page and not the official Bright Life page, because of that reason specifically. And so, of course, there's no guarantees regarding income here. All I can tell you is that if you do follow the activities and you do put in the work, you should get results similar to the people that have worked with me in the past. and done the exact same activities. And so we're going to go through that protocol. We're going to go through the steps, the daily routines, the stuff that I'm doing on a daily basis, the stuff that I do with my new people. We're going to go through all of that in this mentorship series. And we'll honestly go as long as it takes. But the idea is to put you on a path to $100,000 in residual income in a 90-day period. And so we are going to be meeting twice a week, and there will be homework and assignments that are going to be given to you in order to stay on track and to be putting yourself on a track to $100,000 in residual income. You'll always want to make sure that you complete all assignments and homework, any of the extracurricular activity that I give you, if you want to be able to get the results I'm talking about, the results that I've described from the past. You definitely need to make sure you complete all of the assignments. So first things first. The first thing that I do whenever I enroll someone is I go through the proper expectations. Okay. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to tell them, do not do anything on your own until you get a chance to understand from me all of the mistakes I made in the beginning. So that is literally the first conversation that I have with people when I sign them up, because most of us as humans act the same way. Psychologically, we follow the same patterns, similar behavior. And so a lot of what you're going to be learning in the series is coming from the mistakes that I made, the mistakes that I see everybody make, the common mistakes, the common missteps, the things that people do that get them off sync or, or out of touch or not getting the same results, not getting the sales, not getting the signups, not getting the duplication. We're going to talk about that. So the very first thing that I would tell you if I signed you up tonight is don't do anything until you talk to me first, because I want to make sure that I set the proper expectations, because expectations in this business is everything. And it's also psychological. And so the entire process that you're going to be learning from me is the psychological process and understanding of how this business works. And so that's what we're going to be going through in every single one of these sessions. And so the reason why it's so important that you tell your brand new person, or I'm telling you tonight, not to do anything until I teach you exactly what to do step by step, is because I made a lot of mistakes in the beginning, and I don't want you to make the same mistakes I did. I want to be able to collapse time and for you to be able to have more success faster than I did, because I had to go through all of these mistakes. I had to go through all of these learning curves. I had to make all of these make all of these decisions that didn't pan out for my business, or were the wrong understanding, or I didn't understand. And so I want to make sure that you don't make the same mistakes I do. So the first thing that we need to talk about is how to approach your list and who should be on your list. Because the first thing people do when they get excited about this business is they want to go talk to everybody. And that's why I tell people not to talk to anybody until I tell you what not to do first, so that you don't make the same mistakes I did. That frames it for people so that if they do go out there and they don't listen to you and they go start talking to people before you've instructed them on how to do it, then if they get some negativity or they get some pushback, which they will if they don't do it right, and if you haven't taught them, they will do it wrong, okay? So I tell everybody, don't go talk to anybody until I tell you exactly what to say and who to talk to. Because the natural tendency is when someone signs up, they never get more excited than they are the very first time they hear about it or see it. In fact, I could probably ask all of you right now, if you would just type a 7 in the chat box, if you remember who or what or when you saw Bright Life for the first time. If you remember the first time you saw it, where you were, or who did it, or who told you about it, tell me with a 7 that you remember that first experience, the very first experience. So lots of 7s coming in the chat. You're seeing the 7s come in the chat. Everybody can remember the first experience, the first exposure, the first time they saw it. Because psychologically, we have a chemical reaction in our brain that literally reacts to even the simplest of words and vocabulary. So now that we know you all remember the first time, I want you to type a 9 in the chat box if you remember the 13th time you saw Bright Life. The 13th time, not the second, not the third, not the fourth, not the fifth, not the 6th, the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. But if you remember exactly where you were and who did it and who did the presentation the 13th time you saw it. Now, obviously, there's going to be less, okay? And so right now, there was one person that put a 9. So that person has an amazing memory, because here's the thing. most people only react chemically, their brain, the first time they see it, the most. Okay. This is a normal phenomenon. And so people remember the first time. Okay. But they don't remember the fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, all of the others. They'll remember some of them along the way. They'll remember a certain presenter or speaker, or maybe when there was a new announcement or something new that the company did. So it'll cause them to connect with that exposure, but they won't know which number it was or how many they've seen or any of those things. But everybody remembers their first time. And I'm convinced that the reason is because you will never be more excited than you were the very first time you saw it. So what I want all of you to do tonight, even though I know the majority of you have already been signed up, you did not just sign up tonight because I see people I recognize here. And so if you are brand new, then you don't have to pretend. But if you're not, I want you to pretend for a second that you have not talked to anybody. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you who you should talk to and exactly what you should say. Because the second biggest mistake people make, other than going and just starting to talk to people without any coaching, without any guidance, without any explanation, without knowing what to say, how to say it, or any of those things, is they all oftentimes go to the wrong people first. And what I mean by this is the phenomenon of what I call low-hanging fruit, okay? And that means that typically people try to influence people that they feel like they have influence over. So when people see this for the first time, they get excited and they're like, okay, I got to get my cousin Bob, my friend Betty, my neighbor Paul, my friend at work, Jane, I got to get them. I need to tell them about this. And so they start calling people. And what happens is the immediate thought is to go start talking to people that they think need Bright Life. Now, I just did a whole training tonight for the company talking about how we have an incredible opportunity in front of us right now because of what's happening with the economy. People are going to be looking for additional streams of income. They're going to be looking for side hustles, maybe even some people that have never looked before. And so that's an opportunity for us. And so we don't know who's looking and who's not. So you never want to prejudge. But what I like to do is I like to assure people success out of the gate. And so what I do instead is have them go for people that in their mind as a new person would think that person does not need Bright Life. Let me give you an example. Let's say you have somebody who you feel like is very wealthy, very successful. They own their own company. They travel a lot. They have a big house. They've got nice cars. And so in your head as a new person, you signed up because of the business. Maybe you were excited about making money. So what we tend to do psychologically is we put our wants and needs on others. And that's how we gauge. That's how we judge. And so what happens is because you know that person has success, they're wealthy, they're successful, they have a big house, they have nice cars, they have, they own their own company, whatever the reason is, you're like, you know what? They don't need extra money right now. They're doing great. They could just keep paying retail for travel. But here's what new people don't understand. First of all, wealthy people don't become wealthy by blowing all their money and paying retail for everything and overspending and overpaying. So they might actually be the best candidate for Bright Life. Okay. But the problem is that people that are successful became successful from help from others, right? I would not be where I am today if I hadn't have been mentored, if people hadn't helped me get to where I've gotten. I've had help all along the way. And so when people ask me to look at things or they ask for advice or guidance, I am always willing to help. In fact, I just had somebody at our event in Dallas on Thursday night who's a young guy who I was getting my car washed. He asked me about my car. He asked me what I did. We started talking. He told me that he wants to be an entrepreneur. He's just getting out of school. And, he wanted me to give him some guidance or some help. And I'm like, sure, absolutely. I got his info. We exchanged. He came to the event on Thursday night. I literally met him like the day before. He came on Thursday night. He's getting signed up. He's going to actually probably participate in this mentorship group. Now, think about this for a second. I'm always willing to talk to people and answer questions and help a fellow entrepreneur. I offered to help him with some of his ideas for his app that he's building. And so that is the way I respond, regardless of whether there's something in it for me or not. Why? Because other people have helped me. I would never be where I am if other people hadn't have helped me and mentored me. I wouldn't be here. And so what happens is a lot of times, because people tend to go to low hanging fruit first, they go to people that they think are in need. Okay. So maybe they have a friend or a cousin that it doesn't have a job. Maybe they got laid off, or maybe they're living on the couch. Maybe they've moved back in with their parents and they can't even afford their own place. And so immediately they think, okay, well, I'm going to get my cousin Bob because Bob just moved back in with his parents. He doesn't have a job. He needs money right now. But see, the problem is that Bob has got a lot of things going on. And Bob is not thinking about vacation. He's probably totally in scarcity mode, scarcity mentality, and he's just thinking about how he's going to survive. Survival mode is not confident. It doesn't exude enthusiasm and positivity. It's survival. So what happens is when a new person goes and talks to somebody who is not a good candidate because of their own personal situation, it has nothing to do with Bright Life. The problem is that humans psychologically can only endure a certain amount of negativity and rejection. So when you start and you go towards the low-hanging fruit, the people psychologically that a new person thinks would need Bright Life versus somebody that we need. So you got to flip the switch. You've got to think about the people that we want and we need versus the ones who need us. Because the reason is when somebody's in scarcity mentality, it's like fight or flight. They are not thinking positivity. They are thinking about survival mode, survival of the fittest. These are primal instincts. These are not the types of instincts that you want when you're trying to bring somebody into your business, because they're just literally trying to survive. Okay. So instead, you want to get your new people thinking about who on their list, who in their contacts, who in their phone, who on their social media pages are the people that are living life large, that are having success, that have their own company, that have their own business, or that are at a high-ranking position, that are pillars of the community. This is what I call the board of directors, like your top 10. And the way I describe it to people is just like this. And this is exactly what I say to my new people. I say, what I want you to do tonight is I want you to write down the 10 most successful, most influential, most powerful, wealthiest, best cars, best house, best life. Like, I want the 10 best that you've ever known in your life, the 10 that you know in your phone or in your contacts that are your best 10. And I don't talk about the ones that we don't want. I don't go through all of what I just went through with you. I literally just go immediately to what we want, because there's no reason to go through all of the things that we don't want. I'm trying to teach you psychologically why I do this and what happens if you don't follow procedure, okay? Because what will happen if you don't tell them who should be on their list, they will make their own list, and I guarantee you their list will not be the 10 that we want, okay? And so what will happen is if they go after the low-hanging fruit, they are more likely to be rejected, because the less successful people are less educated, they're less successful, they're less positive, they're in fight or flight mode, they're in scarcity mentality, they're not in abundant mentality. When you get around wealthy people, successful people, people that are coaches or presidents or that are the PTA president or that are the mayor or that are representatives or that are what I call the pillars of the community, okay? When you get around those people are not like that generally, because you can't get to a position like that and be full of negativity and be skeptical and think in scarcity. You have to be abundant to be successful. So this all starts with an internal mindset. And so we want to get to that top 10 list. And so I ask them as their first assignment, and I tell them, look, this is what I expect from you. I expect you, when I give you assignments, for you to meet them because you signed up in the business and you wanted to be successful. And so one of the things that I'll also ask when I'm getting them started is why they signed up. Now, all of you got on this mentorship tonight because you want to get on a path to $100,000 in residual income. So I skipped that part because I already know why you're here. But that is one of the questions that you need to know and you need to ask your people. So write it down. When someone signs up and joins your team, when you start working with them, the first thing you want to know is why they joined. What was their goal? What was their objective? Why did they become a member of Bright Life? Was it just for the travel? Did they want to get a free membership? Do they want to make $500,000 a month? What is it? Because the problem, another mistake I made was I just assumed everybody wanted to get to the top. I assumed that when I started 20 years ago. So I assumed everybody wanted to hit the top rank. And so I was wrong. Not everybody wants to get to 500,000 a month. Not everybody wants to hit the top rank. There's some people that just want to make their car payment. So maybe life for 300 would be enough, or life for 800, and that would be it. And they would be set, and they would be like super excited. You just need to know that. So the first thing you want to ask them as you get started with them, before you even get into the top 10 list, is why they joined, why they signed up. This is on our Bright Life Blueprint. And if you guys have not gone through that, you should definitely all go through the Bright Life Blueprint, because I'm not going to be able to go through all of the training that I go through in the Bright Life Blueprint and all of the training that I've gone through over the last year. I've done a training almost every Saturday for the last year, and they're all recorded. They're all on the Bright Life page. And so you can watch all of our Saturday trainings. And if you didn't watch the training from yesterday, I would encourage you, as part of your assignment from tonight, at least catch up on yesterday's training. Okay. And so write that down as one of your assignments for Wednesday, is to watch Saturday's training, because I talked a lot about Las Vegas and how that was really our secret weapon in my previous company, is event to event management. We're going to get into events over the next few weeks in this group as well. But then after you find out why it was that they joined, now you can give them that first assignment, because as long as they wanted to get their membership for free, they have to make a top 10 list. Why? Because I've talked about it in the other trainings. You're going to need to call and invite 5 people for every 1 exposure. Okay, that's a pretty good rule of thumb. It's just kind of a general number, but you're going to need to invite 5 to expose 1. So that means that if you put a 10 list down, you should be able to get 2 exposures out of that if you invite all 10 of that list. So the first thing I have them do is don't talk to anybody until I tell them exactly what to say. But the first assignment I give them is to give me their top 10 list. Now, if you can do this with them live right after you sign them up, this is ideal. This is the preferred method, because here's what I tell you. Even if you tell them not to talk to people, the first thing they're going to want to do when they go home is to talk to people. Okay, in the car ride, on their way home. I know they'll do it. It just trust me on it. But at least ask them not to. Try to get them not to, and at least tell them, hey, if you go talk to people, just be prepared. You're going to get some negativity and some rejection, because you'll make all the same mistakes I did. So I don't want you to do that. So when can we get together so I can teach you exactly what to say, and or get them directly plugged into this mentorship, because I'm going to show them exactly what to say. So top 10 list is first assignment, okay, for your new person. For you tonight, this is going to be your second assignment. Your first assignment is to watch the training from Saturday. Second assignment is you all need to come up with your best 10 list. So some of you have been on mentorship before. Some of you have been in the business a while. You should always have your hit list. I have mine with me all the time. It goes with me in my briefcase, and it's always sitting with me here. And I update it. I tear the pages out. I update it. I add names on here, mark names off, go through it all the time. Okay, so I keep it on here and I rip the pages out. And when this binder is done, I'll get another one. So you should always have your top 10 list with you. Some of you can keep it on your phone. That's fine. But at any given time during this mentorship series, I should be able to ask you, let me see your 10. Show me your 10. Okay. And so make sure that you're ready with your 10, because your hit list, your top 10 list, your working list should be with you always. You should always have it either on your phone or with you, so that anytime you get free time to invite, you should constantly be working that list. Now, the second part of this is what to say. And here is the thing that I will tell you. How you say it is much more important than what you say. Okay, so your confidence, your attitude, your enthusiasm is much more important, and your expectations, okay, is much more important than actually the words that you say. Because here is the secret weapon to inviting, is understanding the difference between inviting and presenting. Okay, this is the biggest mistake that most people make. See, most people, when they're supposed to be inviting, they're already starting to present. And I'm going to talk about in day 2, when we get back together on Wednesday, about the psychological components of people signing up. And the 2 questions that I talk about constantly: can I do this and will it work? And that's how you get the sales, okay? The reason why we got to start talking about that is because the invitation process is part of the psychology of them thinking, can I do what's being done to me right now? So can I invite or talk to my friends, my contacts, my family, the same way they're talking to me? because you're about to ask them to make those calls as soon as they sign up. So they already know they're one step ahead of you. They're already processing, can I do what's being done to me right now? So that means that it is very important that all you do in the invite is literally request their presence. Okay. So the true definition of invitation, you can Google it, okay, is a request for one's presence. It's just to request their presence. So really, honestly, how you say it doesn't matter. You can talk to your friends and your contacts and your colleagues or whoever, your coaches or your teachers or whoever it is that's on this top 10 list, okay? And we'll finalize that list in just a second. But you're going to talk to them the same way you would normally. And what I always tell people is I always come with building value. I'm always like, thank you very much for all the things you've helped me with. I've always looked up to you. I've always admired you. I really value your opinion. I need you to take a look at something for me tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern. It matters so much to me, and it would be a huge deal to me if you could just spare 20 minutes of your time tomorrow night. That's it. And so it doesn't have to be exactly that, but if you can come with a building value and you're talking to the right 10 and you ask that way and you edify them, you thank them, you tell them that you look up to them or their opinion matters, they matter to you, what they think matters to you, and that you want to get their opinion, their feedback on what you're about to show them, and you tell them that, most of the right people will say, sure, no problem, just like I did to the kid at the car wash, okay? And so that's why you want to get to the top 10, because if you get to the low-hanging fruit, they don't all respond that way. And when you do expose them, like I said, when they're in scarcity mentality, they are not going to sign up because they're in fight or flight mode. So you don't want to go after the low-hanging fruit at the beginning because you want to get your new person out of the gates fast. If you want somebody to have success and never quit, get them out of the gates fast, have them get their 2 immediately, waive their fees, waive their monthly membership. In the first 24 hours, the first 48 hours, that person's never quitting. Never. I mean, our membership retention is already so high. So if you can have them have success on the business side or the referral side immediately, they're never quitting. Okay. So here is how I get the right 10. Okay. This is how I approach it. And this is your most important assignment for Wednesday night. Okay. And it goes like this. Let's assume for a second that you have an invention, all right? And that invention you think can change the world. Like this is going to be revolutionary, like the car or like the light bulb. The only problem is that you don't have the resources or the network to get this invention to the world. So in order to get the capital, okay, you've got somebody who's willing to put in the money that you need and make the relationships, but you have to put together a board of directors. And that board of directors has to be worthy of this investor investing in your invention to give you the money that you need to change the world. So you have to put the best 10 people that you know that are in your phone or that are in your contacts because your invention success and saving the world depends on it. Those are the 10 that I want on the list. Okay. And so if you're sitting there with them right then, I would literally have them start. So like, who comes to mind? Who do you think would be on the list first? And so I'm going to literally ask them and I'm going to say, why would you put that person on? And if they say the right things, like if they say, well, this person I've always looked up to, they've been, they're the winningest coach at my high school. Everybody knows them. Or, you know, they're the principal at my school, or they're the mayor of my town, or they're the president of the PTA, or when they have a party, everybody in town comes. Like it's a huge deal. Like we just went to a party yesterday, a crawfish cookout. Place was packed. Weather was crappy, but it was still packed. I mean, that's the type of person you want to have on your top 10 list. This guy's a business owner. He owns an aviation company, he owns a private jet company. I was there meeting to talk to him about Bright Life Potential with their private jet company. And so there were awesome people there. I met executives from other companies, publicly traded companies. It was a great group because people tend to hang out and associate with people that are like them. So you ask them about the first couple of names that are on their list to check and make sure that they got the idea, that they're putting down the right names. Because even still, after you say it like that, some of the names might not deserve to be on the top 10. So what I might do is I might say, well, let's put this one over to the side. Let's see if we can get 10 others first that we want to talk to first, and then we'll get to that person. So you want to go through the top 10, all right? And that is exactly how you want to ask for it. That way it makes sense to them. It's a way for them to visualize who needs to be on that top 10 list. And that's why I call it the board of directors, because they have to have the board of directors in order to get the funding, in order to get the capital to be able to change the world with their inventions. So who are the 10 best people that they know? This immediately gets them thinking the opposite of low-hanging fruit. And that's why I start there. So for tonight, okay, that is going to be your assignment. So first assignment is watch the training from Saturday if you haven't already, or if you weren't already on it. The second assignment is you need to work on your top 10 list, okay? Now, for those of you that are already building the business and already know about inviting, I would encourage you to go beyond that and redo your list. So take your list and go through your phone tonight, go through your social media and work on your list. So improve your list, okay? And I don't want those of you that are actively working the business not to do anything until Wednesday. So for those of you that are actively working the business, you should be making exposure. So I would encourage you to invite, okay? And if you haven't watched my video on inviting, I have a great video on inviting on Bright Life Blueprint. Watch that, okay? It's video number 1 on the video series on Bright Life Blueprint. It's on the YouTube channel on inviting. Go watch that video and then start inviting. But on Wednesday, we're going to talk about kind of the next steps, and we're going to start talking about inviting. And remember, we're going to talk about the psychological components of why people join, because that starts during the invite. So that's a very early part of the process. To be successful and to get sales, it comes with having the right mindset and confidence and expectations on your inviting, which is what we're going to be talking about on Wednesday. Okay, so that is going to conclude the first session for tonight. Like I said, I want to try to keep this in smaller bite-sized videos that are less than 45 minutes. Goal is to keep them around 30 minutes so that way you can get them to your new people and they can catch up with just a few videos and they don't have to sit in front of the computer for hours. Of course, all of my first series are all on my YouTube page. This one will be on there. This will be day 1 on the new path. So this will be day 1. It'll be the latest video on my personal YouTube page. If you just go to youtube.com/Wes Melcher or just put in Wes Melcher YouTube, it'll take you straight to the page. And so we'll see you back here on Wednesday night, same address, NetEasy Marketing. Get your people there. Yeah, Ryan, what's your question, bud? If you want to shoot me messages, you can send them to me on Instagram, or everybody that's in this mentorship, I'll give you guys my number. So you can text me is the easiest way to get a hold of me. That's my number. It's in the chat. Okay, so you can text me, and when you text me for the first time, tell me who you are, so that way I can store it, so I know who it is and what your name is, and so that whenever you're asking me what you need, or you're doing questions, or if it's a third-party validation, we'll get into that in some later days. That way you've got it. So if y'all have questions in between or need to clarify anything, we will have some time for Q&A during these sessions, and I will dive into your list. So I am going to be looking at your list. You are going to put that into the chat on Wednesday. So that's going to be very important. I will follow up on these assignments. And so remember, those are your 2 assignments for Wednesday. Work on your board of director list, your top 10 list, and watch Saturday's training if you weren't already on it, if you didn't already watch it. And then also go watch the inviting video, which is video 1 in the 3-part series on brightlifeblueprint.com. It's on the YouTube channel. Watch the inviting video. That'll give you a head start for Wednesday. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. We'll see you on Wednesday night. Invite for tomorrow night's Zoom. The Zoom was packed tonight, almost 100 people. Let's max it out tomorrow night. Use that 3-step invite. What are you doing tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern? If nothing, say, great. I just need 20 minutes of your time. Meet me at zoomviproom.com, and I'll follow up with you immediately afterwards. That's all you have to do. Keep it simple. Remember, an invite is a request for one's presence. That's all it is. No selling, no explaining, no travel, no business, no Bright Life, no Vegas, no none of that in the invite. Remember, only inviting. And I'll see you guys on Wednesday night, and hopefully see all of you on the Zoom tomorrow night with lots and lots of guests. Have a great
Hey, Wes, real quick.